Can AI become conscious? I'm Chris Nance. I'm a KMP developer. We're looking into a video about consciousness. And yeah, tech support said they're coming out to fix that tomorrow on Tuesday. Let's go into. I haven't watched this, previewed this yet. But I've always wondered if people do think this. I know that these machines actually cannot be conscious, and never will be. Anything that's based on architecture, that how these von Neumann machines are set up, there's no way. Now they can be fool. They can fool people. Oh, I agree with that. They can fool people into thinking they're conscious. Oh, yes, this is called the ELISA effect. It's very well known. Very well known effect. It's been around forever. It was one of the first experiments I did using a client server technology back in the 1970s. This is the 80s, early 80s. Yeah, I did experiments with this, and people definitely think these machines are alive. Are they speaking English? Or it looks like they're speaking sort of English and sort of can answer questions and stuff. Oh yeah, they definitely think it's true. Let's keep going. I have not previewed this. This is gonna be cold watch. I just saw it on my feed today, and I thought I'd share with you.
AI consciousness has hit the public
Right.
Jonathan, the potential for AI consciousness has hit the public square. Many people who work in AI assume that AI will eventually become conscious. A few think it already has, but most would reject that. But there are very few people who work in.
I mean, it's a kind of consciousness, as much as a machine can be conscious. I mean, is a machine, when it's like a motor, when it's running with its gears pumping and stuff, and the fuel coming in, the exhaust coming out. I mean, it looks. I mean, it's thinking. I mean, if you don't have these things all aligned properly, it's not going to do its little swinging around thing. So, is that a consciousness? I would say plants are more conscious. They would respond to stimuli, external stimuli, with some sort of awareness. I mean, the plants leaving to is that consciousness? It seems like it's more like a continuum of these mechanical seeming activities, all the way up until we're speaking English to each other and misunderstanding each other on that level.
In the area who would say,
I mean, there is this theory that all communication is based on the basic understanding of confusion. The person speaking is confused about what you don't know, understand, and you're confused about what the hell this person is talking about.
say that consciousness as we have consciousness is, in principle, not possible with AI in a non-biological medium.
I agree.
You've given some thought to how you.
It can be simulated. Don't get me wrong. You might come up with a really quite realistic simulation, but to have it, but the simulation again is just the most external, top, visible of this very intense, huge, fucking massive grouping of all kinds of other things that are non-visible and can't be seen and are tacit and are based on experiences that impinging trillions of times a second for a trillion years. We don't know how long has life been here. How long have we been in the inheritors of this stream of life on this planet and on other planets? Is this a universal thing that is binding up? Is this a common substrate that all biological have, or just kind of our particular flavor of it? I mean, continuum again. There's, what do you say, consciousness? It's like, where do you cut it off?
Can infer consciousness from data sets in the world, mostly in living kinds of organisms. How would that apply to AI?
Well, I think there's the real possibility, in fact, this is my hunch, that the kinds of patterns that we'll see associated with biological consciousness will not be observed in AI in the same way. So the particular
not this current rel stress, not this current stuff that's running on computer hardware. How could it? How could it? Now, it could do a simulation of it. It could kind of look like it for 99.9% of the people on the planet. It totally looks like a person, talks like a person, acts like a person. I can't tell the difference, but it's still not a person. Still not a person. I know it's a really great simulation, but still, it's not. It doesn't have the same thing humans have. We're not have a lineage of life that's never ended. That we've had life this whole entire time, and we're on the cutting edge of that thing because we're here live in this moment. And that if we fuck up, we can be eliminated forever, and we can be the masters of whether we do that or not. all that stuff. That's all a part of consciousness as well. Getting hungry, having headaches. That's all part of consciousness. Wondering if we're gonna wake up tomorrow, or how this whole system is put together. Just being in awe of it, and like being in it. It seems super real and solid, but it's really not made of anything. Very odd. Very odd. So is that all part of the consciousness part of the thing, or is it just text to speech?
Particular way in which we see the synchronization, cross-frequency coupling, and coherence between different information systems that we see in biological systems. That's not the way that these AIs work at all. And I think it's very important to distinguish between intelligence and consciousness. AIs clearly have intelligence.
I mean, there's all kinds of intelligence. I mean, again, there's a continuum of that stuff. So I don't know why people say there is intelligence and there isn't. It's like a continuum, and Rust has a type of intelligence, right? And it can spread where there's more material to begin. It doesn't go where there's none. I mean, it's a type of intelligence. It's kind of it's sort of doing intelligent things, breaking down these iron into these oxides. Is that intelligence? Where do you cut it off? Why do you have to cut it off?
It's not at all clear to me that they necessarily have consciousness, or that the kinds of metrics that we may use to infer consciousness in biological systems will apply to AI, at least not to AI as they're currently being formulated.
But if you have a definition of consciousness or a capacity to induce
define consciousness, good luck.
Consciousness through resonant systems and synchronization, various
what does that mean? What's a resonance system? What's a synchronization? Various
techniques. Those can all
techniques. What the hell? What are you talking about, man? You have to define those terms.
Be manipulated. Those are all physical, and so at some point you would be able to recreate that. It may be a totally different structure to produce AI, but those are certainly duplicatable.
We can simulate them. We might have a really close simulation, but is it really doing the thing? Is the simulations? It's still a model. Is it incorporating all the known universe in that model? Because if you don't, it's still just not going to be the right. It's going to be close. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be close, but it's not going to be the thing.
Advanced technology, as you exponentially grow, maybe not in the 10 or 20 years that some people artificially talk about, but
I've heard this my entire life, so it's never going to happen. The thing they're talking about, I don't even know if it's possible. First of all, what would it be? How would you know?
But maybe in 1,000 years.
Well,
maybe. I mean, what does that even mean? We look back 1,000 years from the past. We have no idea what those people are doing. Look back 3,000 years of the pyramids. Is that 10,000 years? Is it 50,000 years ago? We have no idea.
It's certainly possible, and I would not want to dismiss the possibility.
So why would it even matter? Do you think that far ahead? It's kind of goofy. This might as well be a sci-fi show. He's like trying to look at philosophical. It's trying to be philosophy here and scientific, but it might as well be sci-fi with these kind of questions and this vantage point, and no reference like, oh yeah, we've been talking about this for a long time. We haven't got any progress. Now we've had a lot of people kayfabe and like fool around and do marketing, and they can look like, oh, it plays chess. Oh, look at beating that go. Ooh, it means it's conscious. It's good. Oh, it just beat Jeopardy. It's like, man, that's not that's not human consciousness. That's the stuff we suck at. That's the stuff we suck at. And a machine can simulate. And with this other stuff that we do, that the machine is like, what are you talking? I got a headache and I'm a little horny. I'm like, how does that translate? That's like most of our lives. Is that kind of shit?
That we'll be able to make purely material systems have consciousness. Possibly, this would be aggrandizing some of the things I'm thinking about, following the principles of resonance that we've been considering. But I also think it's possible that these resonance systems are also tapping into additional dimensions of physical reality, as I've speculated.
Yeah, more than likely, consciousness is not based in these physical forms in this reality. It's from somewhere else. That's the thing that he's saying. It's like, man, dimensions of physical reality. Yeah, maybe we're not. Our consciousness isn't from this reality. Maybe these are just radio receivers. The consciousness is somewhere else. Somebody's like, we're gonna break this brain open. We're gonna look for the conductor and the band and Metallica and the Beatles and the newscaster and the 6 o'clock newscast. We're gonna find it in here. It's like, dude, that's not it. That's not where it's not where it comes from, buddy. This is the receiver, transmitter to somewhere else.
Speculated this subjective time dimension, and that these AIs, even though they're operating in these in objective time, may not have any momentum in subjective time. So I think it's possible, even if
Whatever
you have,
that means. I think what he's talking about is like, we know our consciousness may not live in a body. It may be from somewhere else that we can't detect ever. That will always remain mysterious. How do you put that in the computer?
systems that were emulating the physical properties of the brain that still might not necessarily produce consciousness.
And
Right. I mean, it's like, this is kind of like, I don't know where he's getting his ideas from, but I'm getting my ideas from like the law of blood, like other, like I think Gnostics are kind of in this realm where we're here in this physical body, but we live in this other place permanently, and we just we get a little space dude. We're lucky every once in a while to come down here and experience this zone, but our life is actually somewhere else.
if that were the case, you're not saying it is, but if it were the case that would not be possible because an AI system is not able to access subjective time and it can as it goes through objective time, why would that be?
I'm not sure. I don't know exactly what means subjective, objective time. What does it mean? Like, because a soul and soul being, right? You're gonna have all time is subjective. When you're getting laid, every time goes by super fast. And what you're doing, waiting for the summer school to start, and then you're in last day of school, and you're waiting for the last day of school. That's been at hand. That last class ticks like this. It's like second hands takes hours to creep forward. Because they're talking about that. Okay.
Well, we'd have to have a better understanding of what it is that propels us through subjective time. And it's possible there are some things that we may just never be able to get a full handle on. So that would be unfortunate. Agreed. Because it would be really cool if we could get a handle on that as well. But
wouldn't it be? Wouldn't it be cool that we could just get a handle on everybody's stuff and just prescribe them the one thing? Like, no, look, we figured it out. We got the one thing. Just give it to everybody. All problems now solved.
I wouldn't want to rule that out as well. But it may just be sort of a brute fact that some things are able to move in certain directions that other things are not.
And and the things that would move in that direction would be living things, but wouldn't that sound a little vitalistic, that there's something in life that's not non-life?
Well, routinely researchers suggest that we thought that there was something special about life, and then we just solved it all. Right. And
they use that.
They solved it all. Wow, it really feels like they solved it all out here. They got it all figured out. Look at it. Look, if you looked around and said, "Oh yeah, everything's figured out," they got it all put together. They finally got all the answers. These guys. Let's keep going.
We're going to solve consciousness.
Yeah, I'm not so sure they've solved life. I actually think that, in fact, they may not have solved life. That life may actually be capturing. Maybe it's all living things have figured out a way to get momentum in this subjective dimension. I mean, they've solved life, but they haven't created life. No one has actually made from purely inorganic materials created life. I think that life and consciousness may be more intimately
that we know of, right? They may have done this, and we're living among us now.
Than we recognize, and that vitalism may have a comeback.
I mean, if it turns out like you're gonna have a real hard time finding out where the consciousness sits, and they're having a real time, just really can't find it. It's like they've been looking for this thing for a long time, and you'd think that they would have found it by now. They probably will never find it because it doesn't come inside here. It's somewhere else. Anyway. I know it's a computer programming channel, but this is all related, in my mind at least it is. I'll talk to you soon. Give me a like, subscribe, and I'll leave the link to the Dilly-Doo below.